The New Orleans Saints currently have about $28.7 million in cap space, and they do not have a quarterback who has logged a win in the National Football League. So welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. We're going to talk about the possibility of adding a specific quarterback to this roster. But before we dive in, I want to get a pulse of the fan base. Name a player you would trade for. It does not have to just be quarterback. Doesn't have to be offense. It can be literally any quarterback. It can be literally any player. Offense, defense. Does not matter. Have some fun with this. Who's a dream player you wish the New Orleans Saints could trade for? Now, it's no mystery that the Saints quarterback room is very, very young and lacks experience. Between Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, Tyler Shough, and Hunter Dekkers, there's not a lot of passes thrown in the National Football League, let alone not any wins. So it begs the question, should the Saints bring in a veteran quarterback? And this is a conversation that we've had here on Saints Now by Chat Sports a handful of times, but we're going to have it again because of some things that were stirred up on the Up and Adams show. I don't know if on screen there's any indicators what we could be talking about. But first, let's go to Tyler Shough. Is he the guy? That's the first question that we all have to answer here. And honestly, not we. Kellen Moore and Mickey Loomis. He was the highest quarterback drafted by the New Orleans Saints since 1971 when Archie Manning was selected. And he's currently competing with Spencer Rattler to be the quarterback one. And I do believe that this will be the player who ultimately is the QB1 for the New Orleans Saints, at least for the foreseeable future. Nothing against Spencer Rattler, just this guy was handpicked by the new head coach. He's been impressive at OTAs, so is Rattler. But for what it's worth, I think Tyler Shough is the guy that we all have to figure out whether or not he's going to be the guy moving forward. And of course, there is the questions around Spencer Rattler too, but like I said, I really do believe Tyler Shough is viewed in the house as the guy moving forward. And Kellen Moore, he echoes the fact that he doesn't necessarily think that they need to add a veteran quarterback. And if you do want to add a veteran quarterback, it's because Tyler Shough just isn't really looking good. And maybe you're just worried that he just really can't keep this operation afloat. Or maybe you just want some veteran presence in there to have another body, have another just guy who can be a locker room body, who can be a good vibes guy, he can be a person to hold the clipboard and be some good provide some good experience for the young quarterback. But Kellen Moore views his coaching staff as that role, so it's pretty clear that they don't feel the need to add a veteran quarterback. And I personally believe that the Saints will roll with what they got. I mean, if you ask me, I feel like if they would have added a quarterback by now, it would have already been done. Or if they were planning on adding another quarterback, it would have been done by now. And especially with mandatory minicamp coming up and then training camp in the distance, I just firmly believe that the Saints don't necessarily need to go and add another quarterback because, of course, it's a young group, but at the end of the day, maybe this is just kind of the game plan is it's not going to be pretty in year one. It's going to take a few years for us to really reap the benefits of having a young quarterback and see the growth. The roster is not completely done. Kellen Moore has not finished building out his team, and he is far from being done. But for what it's worth, Cam Jordan, he's made it very clear that he wants to bring in a specific quarterback. I still don't know who we're talking about, Lopez. Who could it possibly be? Let's find out. Cam Jordan on the Up and Adams show on a clip posted to X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Cam saying, I'm going to recruit a veteran quarterback properly when the time is right, and that's probably going to take all the cap space we have. Kay Adams asking, well, who would that be? And after a little bit of discourse back and forth, said, I'm going all in. Jameis Winston as a veteran quarterback, come on over. And look, I think that this would be a lot of fun. If there's one thing about bringing Jameis Winston to your roster, it's fun. That you cannot argue with it. But, does it make sense? And I'll tell you this right now. I saw the clip. The guys in the office here at Chat Sports saw it, and they started freaking out. They're like, oh, my God, what does it say about the quarterback room? What does it say about this? Blah, 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 blah. Well, and I'm like, look, I don't really care. I'm going to just be honest. I think it's fine to bring in Jameis Winston. You do need a veteran quarterback, but I'm also not going to sit here and stress about it. So I want you to get in the comments. Do you agree with Jameis or Cam Jordan about Jameis? Would you be all in on bringing him back? Just type yes or no in the comments. Share your thoughts. I want to hear from you. Look, I'm going to just go ahead and say this. The fan in me. Clearly, the fan in me says, go bring back Jameis. That would be so much fun. The Jameis Winston fan in me. But the realist Saints fan and the Saints Now host in me and all those things say, like the parts that are trying to be realistic and say, look at the future. Don't stop looking in the past. Close the yearbook. We don't need the good vibes. Like, we have vibes. We got to build the new vibes. We got to build new things. Like, I go back to, I would love it. It would be fun. It would be super cool. I'm a big Jameis Winston fan. I think it would be awesome. He loves the city of New Orleans. He loves the culture. He loves the Saints. But you don't need him. You don't need the age. You don't need the bad football play. And quite frankly, I just don't think he has a huge role outside of just purely being a locker room guy. And if there is a guy who's the best locker room guy in the National Football League, if there's a Patrick Mahomes of locker room guys, it's Jameis frickin' Winston. But I'm just going to say I don't think it makes a lot of sense for the Saints. But we're going to continue the conversation because it's still fun to have, and we got to see more of what makes sense and whether or not there's actually even a real possibility, because I do think that there is a potential that Jameis Winston could actually not be on the New York Football Giants. But really quick, got to tell you guys about these awesome hoodies once again. Only a handful left. I'm telling you right now, you better go to chatsports.com/Saints hoodie sale. If you don't, do not get mad at me. I'm trying to hook you guys up with these awesome gear that I see online. And if you don't want to go and get it, that's A-okay. But don't get mad at me when you don't have all that cool gear. I mean, this was worn on the sidelines by the coaches, by the players, by the staff. So, I mean, how could you not want one of these? Chatsports.com/Saints hoodie sale. Link is clickable in the comments and description of this video. Now, let's go back to this quote, because we talked about it in the office, and a lot of guys were chirping me and saying, well, what does this say about the Saints quarterback room? Cam Jordan doesn't want to play with Tyler Shough. Cam Jordan doesn't want to do this. Cam Jordan, blah, 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 blah. So, first of all, Brett Alper, Jeremy Chuggs, shut up. Secondly, I don't think that this is something you should really think too deeply into. I'm going to be honest, you're going to see a lot of people in the comments, you're going to see a lot of discourse online saying, this clearly is Cam Jordan, not trusting in the Saints, they're so bad, blah, 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 blah. It's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be beautiful, but I purely think this is just as simple as Cam Jordan wanting his old pal Jameis Winston back in New Orleans. I think that is as simple as it is. It is no mystery Cam Jordan and Jameis Winston are friends. It is no mystery that they have a great relationship. And to be totally honest, I can totally understand why Cam Jordan would want Jameis back in New Orleans. He's a fun player. They're boys. They have played together. They've won together. And for what it's worth, I think that there is a need for a veteran quarterback. That's my personal opinion. The team, though, and the coaching staff, they don't reflect that same opinion. So, when we have this conversation of could it even happen, I actually think that it could, because Jameis is the odd man out in New York. And if you look at the quarterback room for the New York Giants, they drafted Jackson Dart in round 1. They have Tommy DeVito still, and they got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston that they brought in this offseason. So, in my opinion, I think that the quarterback room will look like Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, and Tommy DeVito, because at the end of the day, I don't think you need two veterans in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. So, one of those is the odd man out, and I think that guy is J-Bo. And look, Jameis Winston, he isn't a guy who's going to go and win you the NFC South. He's not somebody who I'm asking to come in and expect to be just lights out, play the best football in the whole wide world. That is not it. My expectations for Jameis Winston, if you sign him, extremely low. More honestly, it's just, hey, come in, have some fun. Let's get some good sound bites for the social media accounts, and let's just make this season that's already going to be long and probably tough a little bit easier. And I think that that's not an absolute outlandish thing for me to say. I'm a Saints fan through and through, and can you blame Cam Jordan for wanting one of his last seasons possibly to be with one of his homies and Jameis Winston? And look, I just, at 31 years old, the production just isn't really great. He is the definition of a backup's backup, and I think that that's a good role for him, is being a backup. So, look, what could have been? I mean, we could have seen Jameis Winston take over and be the franchise guy. And then, if he didn't get hurt because Devin White wasn't a scumbag and wasn't playing dirty, maybe Jameis could have been the guy. I mean, if you go back in time, the Saints were 5-2. Jameis had almost 1,200 yards in passing, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a QB rating, or a passer rating, of over 102. So I just, all my homies hate Devin White. It would have been so cool to see him work out. What could have been? We'll never know. We will never, ever know what happened with what could have happened with this guy. Maybe Derek Carr era never happens. Maybe it's bad and we end up draft. I don't know. All my homies hate Devin White. Damn. R.I.P., man. That sucks. I wish that we could have had some fun with it. Anyway, final thoughts. Let's just focus on the future at quarterback. And I know a lot of y'all in the comments have, ripped me for talking about the quarterback position and talking about adding age and veterans and whatnot. But look, I think that at the quarterback position specifically, I don't hate the idea of just sticking with what we got. And best case scenario, it's really good, and they're a great football team, and we have our guy. Worst case scenario, we revisit this conversation in a couple of years, and we have a top 5 pick. You can go and get whoever the hell you want. So for me, it really feels like it's not a lose-lose. It's just kind of a win/wait-and-see kind of deal. That's just my personal opinion, but I think it's time to focus on the future. It's time to dive into and invest in the youth and to build around these players, because quite frankly, if one of these 3 guys can step up and be the guy, that would be awesome. I don't really care about the name on the back of the jersey. I care about the logo on the side, the name up front, and that is the New Orleans Saints. So who's your favorite quarterback in the National Football League? I'm not asking who is the best. I'm simply asking who is your favorite quarterback in the NFL. Do you like watching Lamar? Do you like did you like watching Derek Carr? Do you like Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen? I mean, who's your favorite QB in the NFL? For me, Lopez. I got to go. I love Josh Allen. I'm a sucker for him. I think he's a really fun football player to watch. Who's your guy? You're a Lamar guy? Yeah, Lamar is so hard to not love to watch too, man. He's a stud. Well, I want to hear from you. I personally love Josh Allen. Lopez loves Lamar Jackson, but we want to hear from you in the comment section. And Who Dat Nation, thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. We greatly appreciate you for taking a few minutes to rock and roll with us once again. We put out a video earlier this morning around Gabe Davis visiting with the New Orleans Saints, and Jair Alexander, he was recently cut by the Packers. Could he head to New Orleans? Click the link and click the video. It's about to pop up on your screen to check it out.